it's what we call your data management, and in that particular environment, that is where you can create your layer. And even in our catalog now, the way you create your layers is in two forms. If you remember, I gave you an assignment first semester that you should go and write something about what? Geodatabase and shapefile. That's to tell you those two entities, though you can represent your features in those two formats, either as point, line, or polygon. But if you have done your homework very well, you realize that you can do much more with geodatabase than shapefile. While when you're looking at ArcGIS, ArcGIS make use of shapefile more for interoperability. And what do we mean by that? In such a way that you can relate whatever you have done in the ArcGIS environment, you can take it to Infomap, you can take it to QGIS, you can take it to other softwares whereby they can easily read the data and they can make use of it. So this we'll quickly look at now. Assuming we've studied our image that we want to extract something from, after studying it, then what we'll do now is just come into your project folder. Now please, I'm not saying you should do it my own way, but ideally if I want to work, I'll make sure that I create folder. I have the main folder that is containing the whole project, but even within, sometimes I'll create a folder for my imagery separately, and I'll create another folder for my shapefile or for my layers separately. So if I'm going to do that here now, if I'm repeating that now, I may just come here, right click inside the Arc catalog and click a folder. I may just call it, let me use the topo sheet name, maybe shapefile, or I can just say shapefile here. Then, assuming I'm going to use imagery, I'll also create another folder. I will call it, so that at the time that I'm creating my shapefile, it's going to be in one folder, and at the time I'm saving my imagery, it's going to be another folder. Then, please, anytime you're working, a piece of an advice. So now, let me use this shapefile now. So for us to create any object, we just right click on the right hand side of the pane from inside the Arc catalog. Once you right click, you have this option of new. Then you see all listed options, geodatabase. Even your geodatabase is of three types: file, personal, and database connection. Then you have the shapefile for creating the layer. So you either right click inside the empty space, new, you have those options, or on your menu you see file there and you also see new. So by the time you go to new, all those options that we saw when we right click inside that empty folder will also pop up. If you do that, you should see something like that. Mine is still taking it. Okay, I have it now. You can see that all the same items that I get by just right clicking, coming to new, is still the same thing that you get when you go to file and you go to the new. So right inside here now, I can just right click. If I want a shapefile, and let's say after studying the imagery, the object that I want to select is a point data and is going to represent tree. So I'll just type the name tree, then the feature type, it will be point. Then here now I need to specify the geographic parameters which I'm going to use. So by doing so, we have mainly two types of geographic parameter. One is called geographic coordinate system, while the other one is called projected coordinate system. So, but in this case, we're using geographic coordinate system. If you pick on this, normally we pick on world, then WGS 1984. So based on this now, if I click on OK, I have one object. Let me make it large for us to be able to see it. No, this one is bigger. So that is one. Then I can right click again. Yes.
The last class we had, I printed some cheat files, but I want to delete them and start over again. I can't do that. Because I now printed the folder where I'm running the cheat files on the inside.
So the next thing is, let's try again, new, then shape file. Let's say this is going to be for river or stream, and stream is going to be what? A line or polyline. We edit. We also go through the sequence again to tell it the geographic parameter that we want to use. That stream. Then let's say we want settlement. So let's click on this. So let's type settlement. So settlement is going to be a polygon, or we can say building, whichever case. Then we edit also, then we look for the parameter that we're looking for, then WGS, we click on OK and OK. Now, right from this environment, by the time you get conversant to this, by the time you're picking your feature type even, you will know if you make a mistake, assuming the building, now we use point, and it's supposed to be polygon. Right from here, you'll be able to determine that. If you look at the first item that we have on the screen there, can you see the first item? If you look at it, it's different from this, and it's also different from this. This one represents a polygon feature, this one represents a line feature, and this one represents a point feature. So right from your ARC catalog, if you make mistake of feature creation, you can quickly delete it and correct the mistakes which has been made. So basically, you have three types of feature type in vector GIS: point, line, and polygon. So all the three feature type has been created. So once this is done, that means you're ready to work. You're ready to vectorize. So in order to vectorize, we will now launch the ARC map properly, either here or right from ARC catalog. There's an icon for ARC map here, assuming it's a blank project, but if it is not, you probably have to launch the particular one you're working on. Launch your software. If you have any recent work which you have done, it will all be listed like this. It will be listed like this. Well, it's likely that you don't have any recent work on the system, so you won't see anything listed. You only see one icon there, demanding for a blank project or there also. So I can just cancel this just by clicking on the cancel button, or I can cancel this just by clicking on the close button here. So now that I have this, I can have those layers, or do, or I can add my imagery. And if you remember in the last or the previous class, I told us that whatever you're doing, for you to see it in this environment, you can either use this icon to bring it on, or you right click on the layer, the same icon is here, or we go to file, add, and we still have the same icon here. So from 3 different environments, you have option of adding your data to the screen. The only time you don't use this one to add your data to the screen is when you're adding coordinates value to your screen. And when you're adding your coordinate value to your screen, you use add data and you use the option add XY data. If you use this one to add XY data, you probably won't see it on the screen. Is it clear, please? So, you're asking about the Arc Catalog. It's here. There's an icon there that says Arc Catalog, which is just here. If I click it, I'll bring it up. So like the folder that we're using, which is on the desktop here, this is the folder. So I can have access to it. This is here. I can quickly create, can you see those things? Create this layer just like you've been doing in our catalog properly. So the option is available there too. But I always prefer for us to know where the source is, so that you may want to do beyond just what you're looking at the screen. So now I'm going to add a topo sheet in order to carry out the next exercise. So here now we have a topo sheet on our screen. But if you look at this topo sheet, if you look at the value here, you will see 14 degrees and 11 degrees 15 minutes. But if you look at my cursor, it's there. But if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you will see I have coordinates there, but it's not corresponding to those points. So which means this imagery or this topo sheet that we're seeing on our screen is not georeference. I'm only using the screen coordinate at the moment. We have this now. I will want us normally, or I know 3 ways that I can georeference. There could be other ways. So out of the 3, we're going to see one here. And that one is the one that I always prefer to teach, so that people will see the process, because it seems longer and cumbersome, but at the end of the day, if you know how to do it, it's the same way if you go to the field and you gather your points data. And what do I mean by point data? With the coordinates X, Y, and Z. And you want to, now what we're going to do is we'll create the coordinate value. We create a folder, a txt file, which I will just call cod. Then I will now give it, now we're going to pick the values that we need. You know, since the topo sheet has coordinate value, we're going to pick the coordinates that we need here, but assuming that is imagery. What we need to do is we need to study the imagery very well. Then we now go to the field. We go with our devices that we can use to pick the coordinate points. So that after picking those coordinate points, we now come back to our office. Then we can now georeference that particular image. But since it's topo sheet, we have the coordinate. And for this software to recognize that, we have to create X, Y, let me say comma Z. Now this is our longitude. Now our longitude, it's same thing as X. This is our Y. Our Y is the same thing as latitude. So please take note. So here now, the longitude is 13 point, I'm going to convert the minutes to decimal so that at the end of the day I have decimal degree, because it's always better to georeference in decimal degree. So in order to do that, I'm bringing the calculator now. 45 divided by 60 plus 13, so we have what? 13.75 comma, then this is 11, right? 11 degrees 15 minutes. So we'll divide 15 minutes by 60 plus 11. So we have what? 11.25. Now, normally, when you're gathering data from field, it is always believed that your Z is height or altitude or elevation. But in the case of this now, we're not using the Z for altitude, neither we're using it for height. But what we're going to use that Z for is for description, describing the point where the X and Y coordinate is coming from. Assuming you've gone to the field, you probably want to note the name of those particular area where you're picking those coordinate value from. So in order to note them now, you can have it like this. So this is going to be based on this topo now. We can say top left, right? I'll hit the enter key. Then I'll use my mouse. I'll push it back, and I'll move it, and I'll pull it to myself again. So this is now the next point. So this is our longitude, which is 14.00 comma, because it has nothing, so we don't have to divide. And if you look at this value, 11 degrees 15 minutes is the same thing that we had on the other end. So which means automatically this will be the same value here. So I'm copying and paste, then comma. This is now going to be top right. I'll hit the enter key again. Then on the screen, I'll push the map backward so that I can easily get to the next point. So this other point now, I'll bring my notepad up. So it's going to be, it's the same line of longitude. So automatically, this is still going to be 14.00 comma. Then this is 11 degrees 00 minutes. So it's going to be 11.00 comma. So this is down right. So this is down right. Then enter. So on this side now, we're also going to have our X, which is the same thing as what we have at the top. So which is this 13.75, copy and paste, comma. Then the same latitude is what we have all through on this line. So it's going to be 11.00, comma. Then the coordinates was taken from where? Down. So all the coordinates that we need in order to georeference this topo sheet, we've been able to extract it. So the next thing is we just hover your mouse over the file menu there, then click on save. Then we close the notepad. So once the notepad is closed, then the next thing is we need to start the next process. And the next process is to georeference. So like I said, if we want to bring the coordinates, what we need to do is we go to File, add XY data. So click on add XY data. You navigate to where the file is. This is the file. Add. Automatically, because the field headings that I'm using are standard headings. So it will not bother to ask me which one is X, which one is Y. If I use long or lat, it will pick them automatically. I can also use A, B, C, D, E, F, and the like. But what if you want to go back to that particular project after so many years? You may not remember whether your A is for your longitude or latitude. So the better still, why don't you just use the standard heading so that you don't have any issue to recall which one is X, which one is Y. So the next thing is we give it the parameter, even that point that we're bringing, since we're using lat long, so it's going to be geographic coordinate system. We pull it down, world, then we push it down, then WGS 1984, and all the parameters about this is being given here. So we just click on OK, we click on OK. Then the next thing is going to prompt telling you that the data set you're bringing doesn't have object ID, but it doesn't really matter because we're not doing any analysis with it, or rather we want to use it to georeference a topo sheet. So we just click on it and we allow it to come on screen, and it's already on the screen. Luckily it's so close by. In some cases the point could be very far away. So this is the coordinates that we're using. But
can we get this image?
Yes, I'll give it to you later. So if you now look at it now, look at this topo sheet, how big this topo sheet is. Look at the actual place that it should be occupying. Can you see that it's taking much more than the space that is actually represented on the face of the earth? But by the time you reference this one, this topo sheet, it will bring it to where it's supposed to be, and we can now relate with it. Anything we do on the screen, we can also relate with it on the ground. Now the next thing is we'll come to Windows here. So from Windows we go to Viewer. Now once you have the viewer, inside the viewer that's your magnifying glass, you just use it to zoom to those 4 points. Assuming it's more than 4 points, you know, we were able to take the description of those points, right? So we can just come here, right click, and we select the option. So by so doing, it will give us the description of where those coordinates were extracted from. So now let's georeference, but in order to georeference, we need to bring our tool for georeferencing by right clicking here, anywhere on this environment, then georeferencing. So once you pick on this, then we're ready to georeference. But there's one thing you should always put at the back of your mind. If you don't want the system to help you in georeferencing, always remember to uncheck auto adjust. If you leave it on, as you're georeferencing the first point, it will start thinking of the next point without you telling it. So as you're picking the next point, is already working on the third and the fourth point for you. So in order to have a better georeferencing, you make sure that you don't leave your auto adjust on. So let's go to the georeferencing. Or do you have any question before I move on? No. Yes, please.
When you are trying to save the coordinates on the notepad, instead of using left to right hand,
So let's get close to the first point now. Now that we're close to the first point, on your georeferencing menu bar, you pick on the first icon there, which is add control point. Once you pick it, you just try to make sure that your crosshair is well placed. Just left click here, and you see it's already, trying like it's snapping to that point. So we just also left click inside there. So the next thing is we go for the next point, and you have to be careful by the time you pick on this so that you don't click on it again. But for me, I always use the center, that button on your mouse, the one at the center for pushing and pulling, the scroll button. If you press it down, it will turn to a hand, so which you can now use it to push. I can always use it to push. So then place your crosshair at a reasonable point with this. Then we'll place this one here again. Then I'll use my center button to scroll back. I'm pushing it up so that I'll get to the next point, then get close to it. At this point again, I'll click here and I'll take it here. So the third point is tied to the third point. So the last point now, I'll pick it up, then I'll tie it with the last point. So once that is done, I'll quickly change this to select element so that I don't make any mistake to pick more points, because I've tied all the points that I need in order to georeference the work. So the next thing is I'll come here and click on update display. You can see we can't see it any longer here, but we have it here. Then I'll still come back to georeferencing. I'll click on update georeferencing. So I have finalized my georeferencing. I can now close this. I can also close this. But in order to have access to this, I will now right click on the image, then zoom to layer. Then this, our txt file, we can remove it, because the essence of it is to help us to georeference. So once the georeference is done, then we let it go. Now if you now try to move the mouse over the topo sheet, now here is what, if you can check, you see the coordinate there. So which means this map now is now georeference. So if I pick any object, or if I pick any coordinate here, it's actually relating to the same feature on the ground, the coordinates of the same feature on the ground. So any settlement here, if like this settlement is called what? Is Kirawa. So this Kirawa now, at least with this point, if I extract this coordinate, it's same, at least somewhere within Kirawa will have this coordinate value. Then sometimes when you're working, you may want the coordinate that you have on the screen here at the bottom right here. to read degree, minute, and second, all you need to do is just right click, data frame properties, the general tab. This is, it's saying unknown unit, but that's not true. We use what to georeference? Decimal degrees, right? Degrees and points, so it's called decimal degree. But we want to see it on our screen. This is map unit. We georeference our map using decimal degree, but how do we want to see it on the screen for display? Then we'll say we want to see it as degree, minute, and second. So once we change that, automatically, if you bring our cursor over here and you check at the bottom there, the value will change to degree, minute, and seconds. So as it is now, this map is georeferenced. So if you vectorize anything here now, or anything you talk about here, based on this topo sheet, you're also relating to the event on the earth surface. So anything we extract, if you vectorize this one, pick any point here, and we're able to extract the coordinate point, you're actually picking equivalent coordinate point on the face of the earth.